Showstoppers, it's time for another episode. Today we're going to be talking about how do we set priorities. I'm going to give you the top 8 criteria in which I use to set priorities for what projects I'm going to be working on in the shop in a given week. There's always more to do than there's time, so we have to prioritize and then execute. I'm Mike, and believe it or not, this is My Car Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
Everybody has their favorite project here on the channel, and I know that some of you are here for the Oakland, some of you are here for the Stitches Challenger, some of you are here for the 47 Ford, some of you are here to just see my beautiful face. But everybody has a priority, and I was just posting in the community group recently about tell me your favorite projects, and it's interesting to see what's rising to the surface over there. So if you have not been to the community tab, go there. It's brand new here on the channel, and it's a great place for us to stay on platform and have discussions about all kinds of things. But today I want to talk about the top 8 priorities that I have in determining exactly what I'm going to be working on in any given week here in the shop. Sometimes I question the foundation of this channel, and that is I want it to be different, and I want it to be a channel that shows you the details and is a teaching channel on how to do a lot of things. So therefore, if I'm only showing you what I'm doing and how to do that without sharing what goes on in this little empty bucket up here on top of my neck, then you're not getting the whole picture. And so episodes like this where I talk about the thinking behind things is just as important as welding a frame rail in the Challenger. Obviously, you have the freedom to not watch this and forward over to something else on this channel, please, that you want to watch. But I think a lot of us need to understand the mindsets that going into tackling 10 different projects that we're working on or more, and how we keep that all moving forward. It's a juggling act, and it definitely takes a lot of balls to keep them moving in the air and keep things moving forward here. And it's hard sometimes not to drop one of those. I'm going to give you my 8 reasons in no particular order. But it's been a big one the last 2 years, since right before the pandemic when I started having all kinds of problems with knees and hips and couldn't walk and so forth. And number one, and again, it's not number one as in the top priority, it's just number one on my list, is the physical ability. Sometimes that is what determines what I can work on. 55 years old, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I know I'm not old, I'm in pretty darn good shape, but still, there are things that happen even when you're 25 that can prevent you from doing certain projects. For example, I have arthritis in my spine, and I've had that ever since I was in my 20s. Sometimes it's just painful to lay on the floor and work on something. So when I'm determining the priorities of a week on what I'm going to be working on, or the priorities of a day of what I'm going to be working on, one of the things I'm doing is a physical inventory. Am I going to be able to lay under stitches and weld for 4, 5, 6 hours? Maybe not. Are my knees and hips up to getting up and down a lot? Maybe not. Physical ability is a factor. We're all human. We all have issues. Some of us are in better shape than others. Can we physically do it without it being so uncomfortable that it takes away the joy of the project? Number 2, and this is a reality for everybody, financial ability. Do I have the money right now to accomplish this particular thing that I want to do? Can I get what I need in materials and parts and supplies and, I don't know, pay the heat bill in the shop, whatever that is? Do I have the financial ability? I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but sometimes I think we forget that to plan ahead. For example, I have the driver's side quarter panel for the Stitches Challenger. 6 months ago, I ordered the passenger side, and it hasn't come yet. Now, that's not a showstopper, but I was planning ahead on when I get that car a little further along, I'm going to need to hang quarter panels on it in order to do the trunk floor pan properly. Got to have the parts for that. So they're probably floating somewhere off the East Coast right now, but we're not going to get into the politics of all of that. Number 3, the season of the year. Seasons matter, especially here in the north, but I would bet Duddy would say that in the middle of July, it's not fun working outside where he's at because it's 732 degrees. Or here in February, it might be 730 degrees below zero, and the furnace in the shop can't keep up. So the season depends somewhat on what I'm going to do. I like doing a lot of fabricating in the winter because I can put the furnace going, I can put my heavy welding clothes on and I'm not dying, and I can sit there and be like a pig in mud welding for hours and hours and hours. In July or August here in Michigan, when the temperatures are approaching 100 degrees with about 99.2% humidity, that's not a priority. The other thing is, I put seasons on my list twice. It must be important. I had 2 different thoughts on seasons, so I'm going to eliminate number 8 and put them both here. So season of the year, weather-wise, but also season of the year for driving. In January in Michigan, when there's snow, it's not a good time to be out driving a classic car. So I want to be focusing on the projects like the 68 GTS, the 73 Scoop Swinger, the 47 Ford, which is closed. Cars that I can be driving and focus on those in the good weather. Also in the winter, as I said, focusing on the Challenger project or deeper fabrication projects that I can't be outside anyway, so I might as well be in here doing those things. So seasons was a 2-part, so we could call that 3/4. And we'll go down and change these so we get our 8 back. I do have notes for this, so I'm not remembering all this in my head. Number 5, help. Do I have the available help that I need to be able to do the job? If I need to tip an edge on a frame, like we did on the Stitches Challenger, I need Becky's help to do that because my bead roller is not powered. So there's times I need help. I needed help doing the wiring on the 47 Ford. There's times Mark comes out and help. There's times John has been here to help. Depends on what we're doing. We have to have help sometimes. And so I have to plan the projects based upon the availability of the help that I need to accomplish the job. So think about that for yourself. What are you planning to do? Do you need help? Are the people available? Help matters. Number 6. This is a reality for all of us, for some more than others. Do I actually have the energy to tackle what I'm planning to do? Some jobs are physically demanding, and sometimes my day job, and we'll get to that in a minute, I'm just tired and I don't have the energy, nor can I consume enough caffeine to create that energy to get out here and tackle some big project. So I always have 3 or 4 optional things I could be doing. We had a good example of that in the past couple of weeks. I've been working on this orange Pinto here, and or maybe it's a yellow Pontiac Solstice. I don't know. And I had leftover material that I needed to use up, so I wasn't wasting it, and I was able to knock the grill out real quick in for the 47 Ford. So sometimes you can multitask, but all of that does take energy. Number 7, parts availability. Writing is not my thing, if you didn't notice that. Are the parts available? Quarter panel for the Challenger. Parts not available. It's been ordered for 6 months. We needed spark plugs for the Oakland. We had to order those. Got them the next day. The other thing we need for the Oakland right now is a carburetor. Fortunately, Wayne has one, but it's somewhere between here and Pennsylvania. It's going to be a while before we get that. So we're on hold on that project until we get a carburetor. Well, we're on hold on the engine part of that project so that we can fire it up, because I know a lot of you are waiting for that. But we're doing other things on the car. I got the rims painted for the back. We'll be mounting the tires here soon, getting those back on the car, getting the car back on the floor. But are the parts available for the things that you want to accomplish? I probably have a shelf full of parts that I've ordered ahead. I have a starter for the 47 Ford. I've got stuff everywhere. Suspension pads for the 47 Ford. Other things I'm not thinking of. But I've got those ordered ahead, so on a day when I can't work on one of the other projects, I can jump over on that project and do something because I have parts squirreled aside and ready to go for that. Last but not least, do I have the time? This is a pretty complex subject, I think, for all of us. Do I have the time to accomplish what I want to accomplish? Understand that My car shop is not my full-time job as much as I would like it to be, but that's a reality. I own a couple of businesses. Those things do make demands on my time. I'm very fortunate that I've built those businesses to run autonomously and they don't need my constant attention. But that's been a long, painful journey getting to this point. And there are days like today when it ended up consuming most of my day, and I've only got about 2 hours to be out here in the shop to work on the Solstice and to do this and a couple of other things that I need to do. So time is important. How much time do you have? You have to be realistic. Taking on a project like the Challenger when you only have about an hour of spare time a week, go for it. I'm not discouraging that, but recognize that project is probably going to take you 15 years. That's just the reality. You get a couple hours during the week, maybe a couple hours on the weekend because your job takes a lot of your time. Your family requires your attention. Of course, you've got young kids that are involved in a lot of things. Whatever your life circumstance is, it all is a time shuffle. And let's face it, doing cars is great, but it shouldn't be anybody's life completely 100%. Even for those who are at this professionally, I would hope they have something outside of cars that they do to keep balance in their life. So, time. I'm involved in a lot of things. As I said, I have a couple of businesses. Our rock band is in the middle of releasing our Fistmas single right now. We're also working on our next full studio album. There's just a lot of stuff going on in life. I have adult children who live in various corners of the country. My beautiful wife and I like to do things together. We hike, we camp. That we have property in northern Michigan that we have to maintain. So we're very busy people in that regard, and I can't be out here 24/7, 365. So you have to prioritize. And that comes down to prioritizing what's in the shop. Maybe I'm a little crazy for tackling a project like the Challenger, the amount of time that's going to take. But to me, that project is no big deal. I know if I just keep taking bites out of the elephant, it's going to be on its feet and running before you know it. I would anticipate that car will be moving under its own power within a year. That's maybe a little optimistic, but now that the framework is almost done in the back, we're really not far away. The rest of it is pretty much cosmetic and some floor pans, which are pretty darn easy. We all have other things that should be a higher priority than doing this. And let's keep all of that in perspective. This should be the escape that we have from the world. This shouldn't cause stress. Sometimes I have to remind myself of that. It's one of the reasons I don't do customer cars anymore. I find that the stress of trying to fix somebody else's stuff is a lot greater than my own stuff, because if I screw it up, who cares? But if I screw somebody else's stuff up, that causes stress, and I don't need it. Sharing the thought processes is just as important to me, and I know it is to many of you, because when you're doing a project like this, let's face it, it is about 60 to 70% a mental game, as it is physically working on the car. The physical work often is the easier part. It's the mental game of focus, concentration, setting priorities. How are you going to get it done? And don't forget the most important part, being like me and just being too stupid to know it shouldn't be able to be done and just going ahead and doing it. And the only way you can do that is by diving in and not overthinking everything. So you got to have a plan. You got to think. You got to have a general idea. But don't overthink and start diving and start doing. That's how you learn. I know that the 68 GTS was probably the car that I planned the most, because I pro-streeted that car myself and I built everything by hand on that car. And that was, my daughter is 25, so 25 years ago, give or take. Maybe she's 27 years ago. I should know. Oh yeah, she's 27. Sorry, Rachel. That's when I built that car, when she was born. And I spent 6 to 9 months planning that on paper, exactly what I was going to do, because it was a lot more complex. Now, I had that experience and it was a different project, but I didn't spend near that amount of time on this Challenger project because I've already done it. Differently, definitely, but I had the concepts in my head from doing that project 27 years ago and 327 other projects since then. But you got to plan ahead. You got to think enough without overthinking and then overwhelming yourself. I hope you found that information helpful. I guess I know for me, if I was earlier on in the stages of this, understanding the thinking of other people and how they work would have been very beneficial to me, but there was no YouTube. There was not even really an internet when I started doing this. So I didn't have those resources at my disposal. And so I just dove in and started doing things. Again, I clarify this is the way I do things. It doesn't mean it's the right way. It's just a way. And anybody tells you there's only one way to do things is selling something, run. There's multiple ways you can do things. It's all about how you want to do it and what you want to accomplish on your project. And remember that. It's your project. Do it the way that you want. The only thing we want to be sure is that it's safe. That's really all that matters. As soon as we get the carburetor, we're back on this and we'll have a lot more content, and I'm planning on getting the other subframe connector in on stitches, as well as connecting the rear tail pan to the part of the existing trunk floor before we build the new trunk floor. I want to get that rear part stabilized, so that's going to be coming really soon. I started thinking that through today, exactly how I want to do that. I get a lot of seat time in the car with my job, and so I have a lot of opportunity to do both episodes on the road that you see. That's why I do those. But I also have a lot of time to think through what I want to accomplish the next time I get to work on a project. Hopefully we'll get done with this little Solstice here in the next couple of days. There was a little wave in the quarter panel besides the scratch that took me about 3 or 4 more days to work out, just because I'm waiting for materials to dry in a non-paint booth environment. But that car hopefully will be ready to spray in a couple of days, and then we'll ship it on down the road back to the owner. And then we're going to be rearranging things in the shop. As I've said, the Duster is going to be going right here as soon as the Oakland can roll around on its own, and the Oakland will be right over there where that little Miata is. No, Solstice is. So that's going to do it for this episode. Drop a comment down there. Share what you found encouraging. Share what you found helpful. Share what I might have missed on my list of 8/7 things. I might have missed something that's important to you. Drop that down there in the comments. Also, be sure to check out that community tab here on the channel. We're starting to get some great discussion going over there, and I'll be posting new topics and teasers and just a lot of stuff over there as well. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, well, you know all that stuff, so just go ahead and do that and spread the word about my car shop. And I don't do it on every episode anymore because I do try to make it a little bit more variety, but I'll do it today.
Rock!